Hello guys, I hope you're having a wonderful day and that everything's going well in your life. Today I'm here to talk to you about focaccia. If you know me or you're familiar with this channel at all, you know that focaccia is one of my favorite things to make. I've made it from store-bought pizza doughs, I've made it from homemade doughs with instant yeast, but finally, the past few weeks I have been making it with an active sourdough starter, and let me tell you, it is a game changer. I thought I had really good focaccia before, but what I have been making lately has been amazing to me, and I'm like a novice baker, but I think that I've come across something that is really special here, and everybody who's tried it has reacted that way, and I hope you guys do too. So today I'm here to show you how I make a beautifully fluffy, beautifully crispy focaccia from a sourdough starter. This recipe was originally adapted from Alexandra's Kitchen blog. This is where I first made it. But over the course of making it a few times, I started incorporating some tips that have been given to me from sourdough Facebook groups I'm in, talking to people who are a lot better with dough than I am. Charles, I'm looking at you, buddy. And also just from looking at random YouTube videos. I got obsessed with this for a long time, and I was just watching sourdough content, watching focaccia content, non-stop, consuming all the tips that made sense to me. And after experimenting with various pieces of advice, I bring to you a culmination of a lot of research and a lot of effort, something I'm really proud of here, and probably the best thing that I know how to make is this sourdough focaccia. So, without further ado, let me show you how I make it.
Okay, so I usually start the recipe at about 4 p.m. to have it for dinner the next night, and as usual, we start off measuring our ingredients. I used 82 grams of my active starter parm, 14 grams of good sea salt, and 440 grams of room temp water. Put that together, and I then added 512 grams of bread flour. Usually I split this up with an 80-20 split of bread flour to 00 flour for an airier texture, so if you have both on hand, I would recommend that. I didn't this time. Finally, I top that all off with a healthy glug of my best olive oil. I use this one from Trader Joe's that I like, but whatever you got should work. Once that's all together in a bowl, I fold it together, turning the bowl 90 degrees and doing that 8 to 10 times. I add another topping of olive oil, and then I use a trick from my friend Charles, take some sugar and some water and combine them in a mister bottle and spray that on top of the dough. This will help in both creating a highly hydrated dough and encouraging fermentation by giving the dough more sugar to eat and expel, both which help make an airier bread. Cover it with a warm, damp towel and let that rest. About an hour later, I do another series of stretch and folds just to try and incorporate more air. I missed it again, and I'd let it sit out for another 5 hours or so. Around 10 p.m. that night, I take that dough, which has some decent size to it now, and I transfer it over to a large, well-oiled cast iron skillet. I have used a baking sheet in the past, but it stuck more, and then I had to use parchment paper the next time, and I didn't get as good of a crust with that. So I do recommend this cast iron trick because it works so well, and it's just really dependable. I spread it a little to fill the skillet, and then mist again. I add some olive oil, cover it, and then leave it in the fridge for a night of cold proofing. The next day, around 10 a.m., I removed that from the fridge, and as you can see here, I had it on a bit of an angle, so it shifted. But that's okay because this is going to expand way more today. I fix it up and gently stretch the dough to the edges as much as I can, and I let that sit out until it gets really fluffy. Time frame here is going to depend on the time of year, but at 78 degrees, this took around 7 hours to get this fluffy, and I was just checking every 2 hours or so to see how it looked and if there were bubbles forming and if everything was going well. Around 5 o'clock, it was perfectly inflated with tons of surface bubbling, so I knew it was ready to go. At this point, I preheat the oven to 450 and start preparing my toppings. I messed up and thought my camera was recording here when it wasn't, but luckily I have recorded this part in the past. I thinly sliced shallots, garlic, onion, Kalamata olives, and chopped some rosemary. And you can also add Parmesan cheese or cherry peppers, whatever you like. Once my toppings are done, it's time for the best part besides eating the dough, dimpling it. I pour some oil on my hands above the dough and make sure my fingers are totally coated, then just slowly bring them 95% of the way to the bottom and pull back up. I just go down the dough once, making sure I dimpled it evenly. As my friend Charles taught me, the goal here is not to deflate the dough, but rather to displace air into little pockets and make the dough bubbly, as you can see here. After dimpling, the longer I wait to put the dough in the oven, the worse off I'll be. The dimples start to go away and I lose some of that beautiful texture I just worked to make, so I quickly add all my toppings and then I finish with a healthy sprinkle of coarse Maldon salt and fresh cracked black pepper. And then I put it immediately in the oven and set a 30-minute timer. After that 30 minutes, I have this nicely brown, perfectly cooked focaccia. If it's too light for you on top, you can broil it for a minute or two to darken it up, and that just comes down to your personal preference. As you can see here, it comes out of the skillet really easily as long as it was oiled enough, and now you can just let it rest for 10 minutes or so if you can bear to, cut it with a pizza cutter and serve it to friends and family, or munch the entire thing yourself. This keeps really well in plastic bags for an awesome breakfast the next morning, and also you can cover it with a sauce and cheese and broil it for a minute or two for an incredible thick boy Sicilian style pizza. Anyway, let me know if you guys make this and how it turns out. I hope you love it as much as my family does and that you have an incredible rest of your day. Until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.